congrats again to Miguel Villa for winning this year's art contest. Sorry it took so long to get this review out, but hey, I hope you enjoy it anyway. Hey everybody, Sol here. I have only one rule here. If it's animated, I'll comment on it. And hoo boy, do I love mysteries! Though I'm cursed to exist in this particular dimension where nothing of supernatural interest happens, that doesn't mean I don't get a stiff old clit at the idea of investigating a nice old mystery. I love mysteries so much that I pointed a funnel at a sock while searching for ghosts. I don't know either, but anyway, we're gonna take a look at a semi-obscure cartoon from the early 2000s because I just love mysteries so goddamn much. Yes, and it is from the good old land of Canada! That's right, Canada, my homeland, where the ghosts are spooky, the roads are syrupy, and everyone licks moose for good luck. Moville Mysteries is a Canadian 2D animated series created by Guy Vasilovich and is produced by Nelvana. The series aired on YTV in Canada in 2002 with a total of 1 season and 26 episodes, then later the N for a US audience and Fox Kids for a Latin American audience. Isn't that just like an early 2000s cartoon to have nothing interesting to say about the history of it? I mean, it's not like anything interesting happened in the early 2000s, am I right? Anyway, enough shallying. It's time to get our spook on with a look at Moville Mysteries. Alright, before I start describing this plot, let me just quickly brain myself with this brick so that I forget that I've probably heard all this before, so I'm not as dismissive. Alright, that should be enough. So, in the town of Ouija Falls, Mosley Moville and his small entourage of chumskies attend high school, while all kinds of supernatural stuff happen all around them. Mo, being a passionate lover of the paranormal, seeks out the mysteries of the town with fervor, often dragging his friends Tommy Hitchcock and Mimi Valentine along for the ride, with varying levels of protest. That's about it, really. Seems like even liquefying my amygdala can't even make me forget that this plot doesn't really interest me. Which is strange, because normally I'd be all over this plot like a chunky fly on a big ball of dumpy poo-poo, yet something about its presentation makes my interest boner become sadly flaccid and unsatisfied. But enough about my Saturday nights, let's move on to the characters. So, yeah, the characters. Do I have any funny or insightful preamble to say before I get to it? Come on. Think of something. Come on, you call yourself a professional, you should be able to do this. Don't just bail on this, Sol. You can think of something, you're better than this. Oh, fuck it. Firstly, we have Mo Moville, a high school kid who loves to investigate anything preternatural. Mo also serves as the series' narrator, and likes to break the fourth wall in a way that makes immersion completely impossible. But hey, that's fine. I don't watch these series to be immersed, I watch them to be entertained. And is Mo entertaining? Not really. Not sure what it is about him, be it the fact that he has the physical appearance of a middle-aged achondroplastic suffering from severe hypothermia, yet the voice of a hormone-addled teenager, or the fact that he seems to have chronic ptosis, which means his eyelids are always drooping or half-closed. Jesus, did I swallow a medical textbook or something? Is this the brick of Asclepius? Never mind. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Mo, I'm just saying he doesn't interest me. Same goes with Tommy Hitchcock, aka Hitch, Mo's cool as a cucumber skater boyfriend, who tags along on Mo's shenanigans, despite the fact that he contributes very little to well, anything, given his limited intelligence. Hitch does get a funny line in here and there, but in all honesty, I just have to say, see you later, boy, to this skater boy.
Oh man, I'm having a nostalgia meltdown here.
And the last character I feel like talking about is Mimi Valentine, who is the girl in the group, but surprisingly is actually not romantically interested in either of the boys. How refreshing! Mimi reminds me a fuck ton of Sam from Danny Phantom, who, as you might recall, I said in my review was something of an unsung role model for girls. Yeah, that was probably one of the stupidest things I've said on this show. Anyway, Mimi has a very similar personality to Sam in that she's the voice of reason, straight-faced, and generally above most of the nonsense that happens, though she isn't above tagging along with Mo and Hitch when needed. Once again though, despite these personally positive attributes, I just can't muster any particular feelings of note about Mimi. I got nothing. Sorry. This review is kind of turning into a wishy-washy mess, isn't it? Well, I'm sorry, but you can't get blood from a profanity-filled turnip, and I can't pretend I have anything to say when I don't have anything to say. So, let's move on to the good things and hope that I have something concrete to say there. Concrete, you know. Concrete.
You want that ad revenue, don't you? Then do your job, slave.
Okay, the good things. Oh, well, I do like them ghosts. Yeah, that's it. I find it very hard to dislike things that involve any supernatural phenomena, and considering this has a bunch of that, I suppose that does qualify as a good thing. Of course, they are those silly type of paranormal occurrences where nobody is eviscerated or left with crippling PTSD, but it does have things like hauntings and possession and other nifty preternatural junk that makes my brain smile warmly.
I don't know what it is. I just really like that stuff. Maybe it's because I've died a whole bunch. Well, who really knows?
Not to mention, tangentially related to the spooky stuff, I do appreciate that this series does have a bit of an adult sensibility, in that it doesn't really sugarcoat its mysteries or the execution of those mysteries. Kind of reminds me of Courage the Cowardly Dog in that regard, as in the adults are all these sort of jaded and tired people who couldn't give less of a shit about the haunted happenings around town. Just adds that nice little pinch of spice into an otherwise bland soup.
And what a bland soup it is! It's actually more like water with a few bullion chunks in it. Well, I mean, it'll quench your thirst, but you wouldn't exactly call it a meal. And I guess that segues good enough into the bad things.
Nailed it.
Oh, alright, that soup has definitely made me crabby with its mediocrity. So, we're gonna dump that hostility onto something that may or may not deserve it.
Let's do this.
Alright, look, I hate to admit it, but I don't have anything to say here. Really, I'm sorry if you're disappointed by the lack of an actual, review in this review, but this series falls into a very distinct ass crack in my mind. One which is populated by the majority of cartoons from the early 2000s, along the lines of Mona the Vampire, Carl Square, Yvonne of the Yukon, and Robo Roach. It's one of those short-lived animated series that springs into existence, does nothing of note, and then fades away without a fuss. And forgive me, but it's difficult to spin a complete lack of significance into something entertaining. That is this series' biggest flaw. It is just not interesting. Even when it serves up a tantalizing concept on a silver platter, it just doesn't trigger my salivary glands at all. Maybe it's because I feel the series is cobbled together from 1,000 different sources, the most egregious of those sources being Invader Zim, complete with their own personal Dib character, that I just feel like it doesn't offer me anything I need, or even want for that matter. It's almost exactly like that movie Igor, the review of which I herald to be the worst review I've ever done outside of collaborations, because I just didn't have a damn thing to say about anything, and the same thing goes for this series. I know it's my job to accentuate feelings and provide hyperbolic rhetoric for the purposes of entertainment, but I can't accentuate feelings that aren't there, and I can't overemphasize rhetoric when there's just no material. There are things I can point out as being unappealing to me, like the art style, which looks like a cross between Beavis and Butthead and Teacher's Pet, but marginally more lazy, yet that's balanced by the relatively appealing atmosphere of the background designs, and I'm left in limbo again. I guess, at the end of the day, all I can say about this series is...
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
Neutrality is the most boring reaction that any reviewer can have, but I have to be honest and say that I think that lying about opinions and feelings is worse than having no opinion at all. So I know it's ass-numbingly boring, but I just have to say, I don't care. And because I don't care, I think it stands to reason that I don't have a least favorite episode. If you might assume that. And you'd be correct on that assumption. Here, have a gold star! Moville Mysteries is... well, nothing, really. I mean, I just went on a whole spiel about it, so I'm not going to repeat myself. If any of the footage I showed looks like it might be appealing to you, then go ahead and check it out. It won't hurt, but if you're anything like me, you'll be bored to tears within seconds. And the prospect of some silly spooks simply isn't worth it. I give Moville Mysteries. Eyes out of 5. So, Moville Mysteries. Is it watchable? Kinda. Yeah. I mean, personally, I find the art style very disagreeable, but technically that is subjective, so if you think you like what you saw, then sure, go nuts. Is it enjoyable? Yeah, sorta, in that weird early 2000s cartoon kind of way. The kind of way that makes you forget everything you just saw the minute a mildly interesting toy commercial comes on. Is it memorable? Anyway, that's enough of that. Good night, everyone! Oh, did you see that? The camera's doing something weird. Would you like to stay up to date on the latest EyeofSol news, as well as contribute directly to my channel? You can find my Twitter page, my Facebook page, and my link to my Patreon page there on the screen for you, as well as in the description. I update the Twitter and Facebook pages every day, so if you want to check out news on the show as well as updates, just follow the links here.